All right, let's welcome to the program from Commerce Lexington. They released a progress report for their Regional Competitiveness Plan. I mentioned this was something that was put together, I guess, back in 2022 or 2023. Includes Fayette and 8 other counties working together to bring economic progress to the region. So how have we done in the last few years since this project started? Andi Johnson, Chief Policy Officer and Director of Regional Engagement, joins us now from Commerce Lexington. Andi, welcome to the program. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm happy to give an update on the progress on Regional Competitiveness Plan.
So the leadership of these 9 cities got together, I guess, a few years ago and decided we'll all work together toward what? Bringing in economic development, training, and what happened back in 22?
Well, back in 2022, I mean, as everybody knows, in the post-pandemic era, the economic landscape was rapidly changing, and business and government leaders recognized that resources were limited, and there were things that we knew that we needed to do together to be more effective, more competitive with surrounding regions, surrounding states that were having more success with job creation and talent attraction. So there was a group of about 45 leaders from representing business, government, education, various parts of the community. We had representatives from each of the 9 counties in the region, and we worked with Ted Abernathy with economic leadership. Ted's well respected across the country, worked in Kentucky and 26 other states on similar economic plans. And we really looked at where were we at that moment in time in 2022? Where was the economy? What were our strengths? What were our challenges? And what were those opportunities for growth? And from that came the Regional Competitiveness Plan. And it has 3 simple goals. It's about increasing jobs and increasing workforce across the region. It's about increasing our labor force, particularly among young professionals. And it's about being more intentional about our public policy advocacy, that we're really going after investments in the region, whether at the state level or the federal level, that help make us more competitive for jobs and people.
So instead of individually, let's say in Jessamine County, instead of Nicholasville out there touting their economic prosperity and their reasons for you to set up business there, we're all working together to attract that business, say, to Jefferson or to Jessamine County. Would that be fair? A fair assessment?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This plan is all about we're better together. In order to compete against larger metros, we need to market ourselves as a region to be on the map. The 9-county region is a little over 700,000 in population. Together, we can market more job sites when we do it as a region, more quality of life amenities, more education opportunities. We're really stronger when we share the story of Greater Lexington as that regional unit. If we all tried to do that individually, we may not have as much success. But if we do it together, particularly around marketing and how we share the story, both to site selectors or business prospects or to potential talent, again, we're stronger when we share that message as a unit. And both business and government leaders recognize that because, in today's economy, businesses and people and talent, they don't recognize county lines. They're looking at us within a 30-mile radius. And that's really what this plan is about. And it's really shifted that mindset of thinking about ourselves as a unit. And we're working on things that can be mutually beneficial to all communities in this region with the ultimate goal of increasing jobs and increasing workforce. And we're seeing progress.
Is there a strategy too, Andi? Let's say that company sets up in Nicholasville. So now the regional competitive leadership, the council, can go out and maybe get some supporting industries. Depending on what that industry is, sometimes they need supporting industry to help make parts or do other services to keep the main industry going. And so is that also play into this, where you can go out and find supporting industries to locate in an adjoining county, but still part of the regional competitiveness plan area?
Absolutely. When a job locates, whether it's in Lexington or in Jessamine County or in Madison County, we all benefit, whether it's the direct jobs and produced by that employer or the indirect jobs that come around that industry locating in the region. And that is something that is really important. So whether it's in Lexington or Fayette County or in Nicholasville or in Frankfort, we all win when jobs locate in the region. And that definitely is part of it. When a job comes there, there's always that direct and induced investment that follows it.
Does Lexington's higher housing prices hurt sometimes other counties, maybe Woodford, Scott, Clark, Bourbon, maybe some of the other counties, because maybe companies look at Lexington's higher cost of living or higher housing costs, or really not having enough housing inventory? Does that hurt the whole region? And so if one county has an issue or has something that they need to improve upon, that's going to hurt everybody, though, right? I mean, that could, or does it?
Well, one key, I guess I'll start with saying the positives of the report, and this is a mid-year check-in on the competitiveness plan. We had 7 action items we were focused on across economic development, public policy, and talent, and those, again, were meant to address challenges and really leverage strengths that all communities had. And from that, we saw 5 key takeaways of what we're doing well on. And then I'll get to the challenge, which is housing. One, our economic performance is improving. When we looked at ourselves 3 years ago, it was alarming to see that our economic momentum was slowing when you compared us to competitor cities. But we're seeing that trend line reverse. We have economic momentum. We're creating more jobs. We're attracting more workforce. We're seeing our GDP and our wage growth increasing and getting closer to those national averages. We've created in the last 5 years over 20,000 jobs, particularly in those sectors where our marketing resources are targeted. So that's a win. We're seeing workforce growth across all 9 counties, and quality of life, quality of place, that low cost of living remains a competitive advantage. But what the research showed us, even with this midpoint check-in, is that housing availability, housing costs are something that we have got to monitor and keep track of. The Kentucky Housing Corporation released their report in 2024. And in Lexington, right now today, we've got a 22,000 unit deficit. And that's the largest in the 9-county region. The 9-county region overall today, it's around 30,000 in terms of the units we need to meet our workforce needs. So there's things that we need to focus on to try to get more supply, more availability. And those are things that we're going to continue to work on, whether that's here in Lexington and also within the region. Because again, talent, people, families, workers, look at the options from a regional perspective, but they do want to be closer to where their job is located.
Yeah, absolutely. I can understand that. This was also positive. Young professionals aged 20 to 34, that segment increased by nearly 7,000 residents in the region over the last 3 years. So
yes,
that's a
huge,
good sign.
It's a tremendous sign. And I think a lot of that may be fueled by the fact that we've got 20,000 graduates coming out of the 10 colleges and universities here in the 9-county region. So retaining more of those graduates is something that we're focused on, in addition to attracting more of the young professionals back to the region. Our marketing campaign around talent, and I would encourage your listeners to go to lookatlex.com. That's our new talent attraction website. It's a one-stop shop for all live, work, and play information, but we're currently doing a really remarkable digital marketing campaign right now to alumni of the 10 colleges and universities and to visitors, whether they've been to the region or they're thinking about coming to the region, serving them content about what it would be like to live and work in the Greater Lex region. And we're seeing success with that campaign. Over 15 million impressions in just the first year. 80,000 people have come to the talent website to learn more about us. So those are things that we want to keep leaning into, keep sharing that story, and we want to continue to see those numbers, particularly among young professionals, continue to grow.
Talking with Andi Johnson, Chief Policy Officer and Director of Regional Engagement with Commerce Lexington, getting an update here from a recent meeting of the Regional Leadership Council and an update on the Regional Competitiveness Plan. It's a 9-county region that includes Fayette, Bourbon, Clark, Franklin, Jessamine, Madison, Montgomery, Scott, and Woodford counties. So we're getting kind of an update. This is a Regional Competitiveness Plan that was a 5-year journey, so it goes until 2027. Andi, I would imagine for companies looking to locate in anywhere these days, the cost of energy is huge, and the availability of energy is huge. I would imagine you guys you hear that a lot, or you hear that inquiry a lot.
Yes, and that's one of the hot topics in economic development right now. It used to be top of the list was, do you have available sites for jobs? Are those sites ready to go? that was one of the challenges for our region. And that's one of the things over the last few years that our local governments have done an excellent job of working on through leveraging state funding through the Kentucky Product Development Initiative. More than 18 sites are being worked on to just get more inventory in place to address that challenge. But now what we're hearing from site selectors is energy. Do you have the energy capacity that companies are looking for? And that's still an advantage for us to have access to low-cost energy rates. But again, that's a trend with AI and the data centers and all of that moving into the marketplace is something that we've got to continue to keep an eye on. But right now, we're definitely utilizing that as a competitive advantage for the 9-county region.
Would you encourage data centers to be built in the 9-county region? Is that something that you all want, or is that a local issue?
I think that's a local decision. Each community needs to look at that in terms of how they want to approach it. There's definitely inquiries coming into the state. I know in the legislature this session, we're still trying to figure out the policy mechanisms and frameworks that need to be around that to ensure that, because they are definitely energy, they're absorbing a lot of energy and want to make sure that that's not impacting customers and raising rates. But, so how do you create that balance for that type of technology and that type of business?
Yeah, stuff, and it's become now political football, too. So, every community that's going to get a data center, there's going to be a group that's going to be against it, and some states are attempting to put moratoriums on them. So that's kind of a sticky issue, but yet the energy is necessary as we continue to move into AI and even deeper into a digital-based world.
You're right. So I think in terms of challenges or opportunities, however you want to look at that on the horizon for the region, it's just continuing to think about policies around housing, policies around energy use. Those are all things in addition to just making sure that we continue to have that critical infrastructure in place to support business investment, and then just keeping an eye on quality of life and just leveraging that advantage because we've got it in the region. We're a remarkable 9-county region. Just more of those targets need to know about us.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I guess talking about AI, that is changing the composition of a lot of jobs, making some jobs obsolete and unnecessary. So that's something else I would think that the Regional Leadership Council is going to have to continue to monitor, about the jobs that have come here or jobs that may be looking to come here. They're changing, some of them.
They are changing. And something I'll say, we've seen over the last 5 years, more than 20,000 jobs have been added in the 9-county region. And there are notable gains in the target sectors where we're marketing to, where we know we've got an advantage. We have some existing clusters in those industries. It's an area of growth for us. And advanced manufacturing, while you see those trend lines across the country may not be as high, we've seen growth in advanced manufacturing. A lot of that is fueled by having Toyota here in the region. Also, pharmaceutical, medical manufacturing, those jobs are up over 50% here in the region. That's definitely a growth area for us. Aerospace, business and professional services, logistics, all of those are our targets. Food and beverage with the bourbon industry are all targets that we want to lean into. Yes, AI may have some impacts moving forward, but I think those continue to be strong areas of growth for the region.
Before I let you go, Andi, I got a question from one of our listeners on the text line. What distinguishes this from the Bluegrass Area Development District, or BAD?
We work in partnership with the Bluegrass Area Development District. They provide resources that help with the region with economic development and grant planning, so they're a partner in this effort. We selected this 9-county region. The Bluegrass AD is around 15 counties. Because this is the economic development region that we've marketed for over 30 years. When we get an RFI, an RFP from a business or a site selector, they're looking at usually a 30-mile radius of where they can get workforce, and this 9-county region represents that. I'll just use Fayette as an example. Over 50% of our workforce for Fayette County employers comes from this 9-county region. So when we're responding with those data points, this 9-county region really goes beyond our MSA and truly represents that economic footprint. And that's not to say that we wouldn't be working with counties beyond the 9-county region. We do that as well. And so we work in partnership with the Bluegrass AD and utilize their expertise and their resources in planning and efforts that complement the competitiveness plan.
Andy, continued success with this, and thank you for the update. I hope this collaboration continues and continues to bring positive results. Let me ask you, I'm like Columbo, just one more thing. I just thought of this. Jason Bailey and his economic think tank, and I guess there's some stats to back this up. The last 2 year job growth across the state has stagnated, and I thought that was kind of surprising because all we've heard from the governor over 2 terms is all the new business that's been brought in across the state. Why has jobs? Now, I noticed that in the last 2 years, there's been 500 plus manufacturing jobs added in the 9-county region. But is any thoughts on the last 2 years job growth remaining stagnant in the state? Why?
Well, I can only speak to the 9-county region where we are seeing that economic growth and prosperity. We're seeing the momentum happening. I think a lot of it is fueled by, as you mentioned earlier, core existing businesses that we have here, like Toyota, like having the University of Kentucky for research and development. Those are magnets for companies to want to be in the region. So that's what we're focused on, is just seeing what we can do to make the 9-county region more competitive for jobs and people. And that comes from really investing in marketing and resources to tell our story better. And so that's what we're focused on.
Okay. Andy, thank you very much for the time. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.
You bet. Andy Johnson, Chief Policy Officer and Director of Regional Engagement for Commerce Lexington. The region's added, as Andy mentioned, more than 20,000 jobs from 2019 to 2024. Manufacturing, 1,700 net new jobs over 5 years, including more than 500 in the last 2. 52% jump in pharma and medical manufacturing, healthcare jobs. Automotive manufacturing up 31%. Business and professional services up 25%. Aerospace up 16%. And logistics up 8.2%. From 2019 to 2024 in the 9-county competitive region.